It's Bourbon Night. Hello, I'm Chad.
I'm Sarah.
And he's Chad.
And that's Chad.
Hi.
Welcome. This is actually the first video where Chad is now officially a part of It's Bourbon Night. So an official welcome to him. Yes, there we go. Golf clap, golf clap. We're doing something pretty fun today. This is Whiskey Hypotheticals. Often in comments we get, oh, I wish this distillery would do that. I wish this would happen, da 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 da.
What if?
Or whatever. So I have here, and I'm gonna sort of play host to our panel here. We have some hypotheticals in the whiskey world. We're going to talk about them. We're going to then say the likelihood that they would happen. And we're also gonna rate how much we would like to see these happen. I'm gonna start off with one that I've always thought about. Four Roses introduces a rye whiskey. We're gonna start with Chad Watson. Likelihood.
I think highly likely. I think it's very possible this happens.
Give me a out of 10.
9.5.
Ooh.
Okay.
I'm going bold.
That's pretty confident.
Yeah.
Reasons.
I mean, they just launched new mash bills last year. They announced them. They're growing their program, so they're going to have 20 mash bills to choose from now. And what's a new rye mash bill? Their bourbons are usually 20 to 30% rye. Now soon to be 40% rye. So.
Okay. Sarah?
Interesting. Yeah, I was gonna say 9 out of 10. I think, they've lightly danced around that could happen one day. Who knows? Like Chad said, with the mash bills, it's already high rye bourbon. It's not that far of a jump to think that they might do a rye.
For me, I've actually asked Brent Elliott about this, and he gives the typical master distiller answer.
The marketing approved answer.
Yeah, you never know. You never know.
Nothing's out of the question.
Right. Yeah. So I'm also probably gonna give this a 9 out of 10. Now I'm gonna switch to how much we want to see this. I'll go first. I want to give this 100 out of 10 roses. Chad?
I will give it 101 out of 10 roses.
Oh wow, Sarah.
1001 out of 10 roses.
Okay, I'm not gonna go first anymore on that one.
No, I love their high rye mash bill so much.
Yeah.
And so I feel like being able to see what it would be like for rye to be the dominant grain would be super exciting for them.
And everyone's bringing back vintage labels now. Like Jim Beam's bringing back the old bowling pin decanter. So
Right.
I mean, to see Four Roses bring back the old green rye label would be awesome.
Ooh.
Next up, we're on another mash bill one here. There's probably gonna be some of those. Maker's Mark introduces a Ryed bourbon. Now historically, Maker's Mark is completely the weeded mash bill king. Sarah, likelihood out of 10 that this would happen.
I'm going to say 1 out of 10.
1 out of 10.
I don't think, that's their thing. That's their signature. It's almost, it's pretty much as signature as the red wax, right? I don't see them veering from that core principle for themselves. And they've never expressed any interest in doing so. I see them more going into the wood experiments and the cellar age stuff, experimenting with age statements. We've seen a lot of that. I do not think they're going to mess with their mash bill.
Okay, Chad Watson.
I'm going to say 0 out of 10.
Did you know you could do that?
I just found out.
Yeah, no, I made it up. In the Beam Suntory portfolio, that's what the Jim Beam line's for. That's the rye bourbon for Beam Suntory. So,
Okay.
That's a fair point.
So Makers is never not going to be wheat. They just released a wheat whiskey, which I didn't think they would do. But I'm going to say for rye bourbon, goose egg.
I'm gonna say -1 out of 10.
Oh, I didn't know you could do that.
Well,
We're making the rules up.
know.
It's our show. We can do what we want.
that's right.
Truth.
Definitely not while a Samuel is at
yeah.
Makers. If the Samuel's family completely left the distillery, it could be possible. I could see some executive at Beam Suntory being like, I think we want to mix this up.
Yeah.
What are people never expecting? Oh, I know, a rye bourbon from us, and the wax will be
Green.
indigo. I don't know. The drips will go upwards or something. I don't know.
How much do you want to see this happen, Chad?
Yeah.
No, I went first last time.
Oh.
Chad.
I don't. I don't want to see it happen at all. Makers got me into bourbon. I like Makers for Makers.
Give me a number.
-1,000 out of 100.
I'm not gonna lie. If it came out, I would be curious. I don't want to see it, but I'd say 2 out of 10. I'm curious. I would want to know what it tasted like. I don't know. I can't help it.
1 out of 10 wax strips.
2 out of 10.
2 out of 10. Sorry.
2 out of 10 wax strips.
Mine's gonna be 1 out of 10 wax strips on that one. Yeah, I would be curious, as we all are, when a new product comes out. But ultimately, I'd be like, you guys are kind of betraying your DNA, maybe a little bit. All right, we want to take a little break because we want to tell you about when we're doing filming days like this and we're imbibing a little bit. We want to make sure that we are just as sharp as we can be the next day. We rely on Zbiotics.
Zbiotics pre-alcohol probiotic drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic.
It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking.
Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut.
It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day.
Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down.
Just remember to make Zbiotics your first drink of the night, drink responsibly, and you'll feel your best tomorrow.
Just click the link below for 15% off your first order at Zbiotics.com.
Zbiotics offers a 100% money-back guarantee, so if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll issue you a refund, no questions asked. And we'll be right back after this. Okay, this one's topical. This is true. Have you heard this? This is in the news.
This is not the news.
Buffalo Trace releases an E.H. Taylor Flood release. If you haven't been following the news, Buffalo Trace flooded, almost breaking their record. I think by maybe a few inches back in the 70s.
Should we celebrate not breaking the record?
I guess.
Yay,
I guess.
it didn't break the... No, it was really bad.
Yeah,
Not the new joke.
terrible.
Terrible.
Now, E.H. Taylor has done the Tornado Survival release. They've had 18-Year Marriage. They've had 4 Grain. They've had a lot of releases. So what's the likelihood that they will release a flood release? I guess I'll go first. I haven't gone first, right?
You have not.
Likelihood? Fairly likely. I think it's a 50-50 chance. So I'm gonna say 5 natural disasters out of 10. I know. I would say it depends on if they are biologically able to. So if the river water hasn't contaminated it, if it hasn't soaked into the barrels enough to where it's completely dropped the proof, and really just from a laboratory standpoint, if they could do it, I would say it's a 50-50 chance. Sarah?
Yeah, I was going to say 50-50 chance. You pretty much took what, in terms of like the biological and EPA and things like that, yeah. I do think, though, something to consider is I could see them doing something that doesn't use the barrels that were impacted, but also is maybe like a split of these ideas. Perhaps they do like a flood charity relief bottle or something like that, and that becomes its own collectible item, and it doesn't use the barrels that were impacted, but it goes towards helping the community. I could totally see them doing that. So maybe it's a 6 out of 10 in terms of that direction.
Watson?
Well, since we're still in everyone's idea here, that was going to be mine. I was going to say most likely a 10 out of 10 because they would be taking barrels maybe not affected by. Whether it's the barrels pass EPA inspection or not, I feel like it is a product that's going to come out. Because why not? It'll drum up a lot of attention, and people are going to want to know, even if they say nothing was touched the water, people are going to be like, I bet I can taste that river water.
Man, you can really taste the river water in here. How much do you want to see it happen? Back to Sarah.
How much do I want to see it happen just for like the E.H. Taylor Tornado Survivor spectrum? 0 out of 10. I don't particularly care for those. I think it's just a ploy. How much do I want to see a charity relief bottle happen? 10 out of 10. Floating barrels. I don't know. I'm not going to go with what you said. 10 out of 10. I think that's a good way to like redirect, to use their power and sway to help the community that was impacted.
Okay. Watson?
I'll agree with Sarah's point there. I'm not a huge fan of the various releases of Taylor. Most of the time, they really don't mean anything to me. But yes, 12 out of 10. I'd like to see a charity product come out of this where they can donate the proceeds back to Frankfurt. There's a lot of people that were affected by this, and I think it'd be great to, because people are going to chase and buy it anyway. You know, rising tides raise all ships, no pun intended.
Oh boy.
Oh wow. I like
they
that.
can do that and help lift the community back up together.
You said 12 out of 10?
Yep.
13 out of 10.
Okay.
All right. No explanation.
No explanation.
Let's stick on Buffalo Trace since we're talking about them. A cask strength Buffalo Trace. Now this comes directly from our comments. Occasionally we'll see in our comments, man, why don't they just come out with a cask strength version of Buffalo Trace? And then we tried to nicely say, sir or madam, that's stag. That's that mash bill at cask strength. It's just not called Buffalo Trace. But in this day and age of new expressions coming out, what is the likelihood of a cask strength Buffalo Trace coming out? I forget whose go it is. Watson?
Good, I didn't want to go first on that one.
Okay.
I'm going to say I'm gonna put a time projection in the next 10 years.
Nope.
I'm gonna say 8 out of 10 because we've seen, what they've done with Taylor and growing that. We've seen what they've done with the Benchmark line when they launched that in 2020.
Truth.
I bet they will slowly branch that into Buffalo Trace Top Floor, Buffalo Trace Bottled and Bond. Buffalo Trace single barrel at like a 95 proof, and then Buffalo Trace maybe not cask strength but full proof 125.
Full proof 125. Interesting. Sarah, follow that.
Wow. That was in depth. I was thinking more of like, I don't know, a 3 or 4 out of 10. Their Buffalo Trace is the flagship product. They don't currently, other than the single barrel program, to my knowledge, have any other expressions under that brand label. They're really stretching out in all their other portfolio. I don't see any reason for them to touch their flagship. However, I recognize that it would fly off the shelves and it would give people perhaps a more readily available, I use that term in air quotes, accessible cask strength product that's not as expensive as and hard to find as you said, like the Stag has become.
Okay. I'm probably gonna say it's gonna be like a 4 out of 10. 4 buffaloes out of 10 buffaloes. I don't know why. It's just gut feeling.
It's just a feeling.
Yeah.
Just a feeling.
Just go with it.
How much do we want to see it happen? I would say, I'm going to also say 4 buffaloes out of 10 buffaloes, Sarah.
Oh gosh, I don't even, this is one where it's like, can I do the neutral in the middle, the sliding scale? Like, how do you
Well, that'd be
agree?
a 5.
Strongly disagree, somewhat disagree, neutral. 5, I guess.
5 buffaloes?
I don't really care. I would try it though. I'm sure it would be, I'm sure it'd be good.
If you could get it.
Yeah.
I think the community would probably like something that is cask strength and more affordable and more available. So.
But that's also benchmark. I don't know how much
Seriously,
they'd be cutting into
benchmark
that.
full proof, right?
Watson.
For me personally, 1 out of 10. Like Sarah said, if they brought it out, I'd want to try it. I wouldn't seek it out. It doesn't do it for me because all those products exist with a different name on them.
Yeah. Let's get away from Buffalo Trace here for a minute, although we do have more from that distillery. Cumberland Lake, which is here in Kentucky, if you're not familiar, and if you're also not familiar, it's the houseboat capital of the world. There's more houseboats at Lake Cumberland here in Kentucky, I guess per square foot, per capita, however they measure that, than anywhere else. What is the likelihood that Jefferson's, which historically has been a very experimental distillery as far as where they age barrels, of there being a Jefferson's houseboat Lake Cumberland aged? Who wants to take this one? Likelihood.
I don't
Sarah. Sarah.
I think there's always a possibility, right? We've seen them do ocean, we've seen them do voyage. I don't know if it's Lake Cumberland specific, but a houseboat aged. But I think that they position their brand somewhat differently than houseboat and Lake Cumberland provokes mental image wise. So I'm gonna say a 1 out of 10. I don't think so.
Okay. Just to also put it out there, there is a company called Ingram that does houseboat age. There's also, there's another one. I can't think of it. If anyone on the team here can think of the other one. Okay. So houseboat aged is a thing that already exists. I do agree with the positioning. Now there's Jefferson's Reserve, presidential. But there's also just Jefferson's small batch, and I have seen with Ocean a lot of Jefferson's bottles being on boats. So I could see it being on a houseboat and it sort of being positioned as when you're going down on the houseboat this weekend, grab a bottle of Jefferson's. Again, I don't know if it's gonna be Lake Cumberland, but houseboat aged, I'm gonna say 5 Jeffersons out of 10 Jeffersons.
Moving on up.
Yeah, moving on up to the east side.
Yeah. I'm going to say a 3 out of 10. I don't think it's super likely, but I feel like there is a chance because...
So you're saying there's a chance?
There is a chance. Because, like Sarah said, what haven't they done? Everything's experimental with them. I could see it being like one release, even if it's just like a joke. I could see them doing it and being like, here's a 2-pack of how it tasted in, Crestwood, and here's how it tasted on the boat, and little 375s or something. Like they've done with the aging before. But, I'd say 3 out of 10.
How much would you want to say it?
1 out of 10.
Okay.
I like Jefferson's a lot for what they've done as far as experimental stuff goes, but I just have no interest in that.
Sarah?
Negative 15 out of 10.
Okay.
I have no interest in it. Well, I think we understand. We've seen it demonstrated that water and the motion or whatever does have the impact. We've all come to that, understanding. I don't think I need any more demonstration.
I would also point out that Trey Zoller has done duck blinds aged. I don't think it was ever a release. I think it was more of an experiment. He also wanted to heli ski a barrel down a mountain. So because of these reasons, I think it's not out of the question. Now we're talking about how much do we want to see it. I'm gonna say 1 out of 10 Jeffersons.
Okay.
Would also like to point out that Chad and I are wearing the same shirt, but they're different colors. If you'd like to get...
Two Chads, same shirt, different colors.
Yeah, exactly. If you'd like to get the Native Spirit shirt, you can find it at whiskeyambitions.com. You can also join us on Patreon. Not really doing the full plugs because this episode is sponsored. Want to get back into the action. Here we go. This just in.
This just in.
I've had it forever.
I have a list.
We haven't talked about Jim Beam yet, so I want to bring this up. Jim Beam brings back Ghost. I think it was called
Jacob's Ghost.
Jacob's Ghost, thank you.
Yes.
Brings back Jacob's Ghost, which if you're not familiar was, they called it White Dog, although it was 1 year aged, and they filtered out the color so it would be white. This question is about Jim Beam bringing back Jacob's Ghost as an age-stated White Dog.
Man, but the problem here is I think it is possible, as even like in one of those 375 things that they do for the barrel and box program. So I'm gonna go 5 out of 10 because this could be you know, we're only at 8 beams now, but 5 out of 10 beams right now.
5 out of 10 beams. Okay, Sarah.
I'm gonna go 1 out of 10 beams. I would like, if I had a time machine, I would like to travel back in time to sit in the room when the marketing team or whoever, just the product development team, decided to put that product out there in the first place. Like, I just think it's so funny that, you know, whiskey is known for, like, color is a big part of it, and to strip it of its color is just like, I don't know. I don't think they're going to bring it back, and especially not with an age statement of any significance, because I think they're going to focus on what they do already well. But it could be a fun, I don't know.
Halloween gimmick.
Yeah, a Halloween
you know.
gimmick. That could be fun. That's the only time I could see it coming back. So maybe I'll say 2 out of 10 beams.
2 out of 10 beams. And there's a lot of beams out there in the world. Probably 2 out of 10 beams. Yeah, likelihood of it happening. With them, with Freddie doing more things there, I could see it happening, but I don't think it's very likely. Likelihood, or how much do I want to see it happen? 0 out of 10 beams.
I 10 out of 10 want to see it happen.
Oh,
Because, you know, people would go nuts for it. And
interesting.
I think it would be hilarious. That's the only reason I want to see it.
Okay.
I think it'd be funny.
Yeah.
Sarah?
Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, I kind of 5 out of 10 beams want to see it happen. Because for like a Halloween, you know, a funny release, I don't think they're gonna do it, but I
No.
think it would be entertaining. It would kind of shake things up in the whiskey world. It would be a disruptor, I guess.
I suppose.
I'd like to see people's responses
Well,
to
yeah,
it.
because you know, then it would be like, how many brands are gonna super filter out their whiskey to get the color out of it, or you know?
No one.
Oh, we're going back to light whiskey now. Ugh.
It would make me laugh.
Yeah.
I would like to watch the content that would result from that being released and being sent out in media kits, and I'd like to watch people review that and get a little giggle.
What age statement do we think it would have? I'm thinking like
8.
Oh, I'm thinking like 4.
I was gonna say 10.
Whoa! If you strip the color out of a 10-year-old bourbon and are calling it White Dog, that was the thing. Even to call a 1 year age
they would
bourbon
drop
White Dog.
They would drop the White Dog.
Yeah,
Okay.
it would just be Jim Beam Ghost.
Yeah.
I want to see the chaos that ensues from that decision.
I mean, just
making.
imagine Beam's Ghost, age 10 years. You know.
Huh. Actually, I want to see this now. I'm
See,
raising
yeah, now that
mine.
we're talking about it, I'm like,
10 out of 10 beams.
we
I wanna
talked
see
ourselves
it.
into
Yeah.
it.
I want to see this. I want to see it.
Full circle.
Full circle. This next one kind of comes from Denny Potter and Jane Bowie, who at the time were both working at Maker's Mark. They left and started Potter Jane Distillery. So we kind of thought, who might possibly leave their distillery and start their own thing? One that we had was Chris Morris, because I believe he's the master distiller emeritus now. He's not like him starting his own thing. And then it was also tossed out Danny Kahn, 1792. So I guess you could pick either one of those two. What's the likelihood of one of them leaving and starting their own label?
I mean, with Jim Rutledge and Blue Run and the success that has had, I could totally see some Chris Morris or someone like Chris Morris or even Danny Kahn doing the same thing. So I'm gonna say 7 out of 10, specifically for Chris Morris. Yeah, why not? I don't. Maybe it's a 6 out of 10. It seems like he's got a good home at Brown-Forman, but you never know.
Okay.
I'm gonna go for both of them. I'm gonna go 6 out of 10 as well. I think both of them could do very well on that. Both of them have good homes, like she said. Chris with Brown-Forman and Danny with Sazerac and Barton. but I don't know that there's a need for that, but
Okay.
completely possible.
I'm going to say 7 out of 10, but I think for either one of them, it would be after they officially retire. So it'd be more like a Jim Rutledge thing. I'm retiring from Four Roses. Oops, I did it again. I'm starting Cream of Kentucky, that type of thing. So now let's go into how much do we want to see it happen? I'll go first. Another expression out there on the shelves and more hype. Because of that fact, I think we're a little flush right now. I'm gonna go 4 Master Distillers out of 10. Chad?
It depends on the way it's done. Now, if Chris left Brown-Forman or Danny left Sazerac, I wouldn't want the same mash bill, them just redoing the same thing. Like, Denny and Jane aren't just doing the maker's mash bill, they're doing all mash bills. So I wouldn't want to just see Woodford or Old Forester, reinvented, or 1792 or Buffalo Trace reinvented. So with that caveat in there, I'm going to say, as much as I love both those guys, I do want to see Elizabeth soar and do her thing. So I'm going to say, how much do I want to see it? 2 out of 10 Master Distillers.
Can I say like NA, not applicable,
Non-alcoholic?
non-alcohol, no. I guess 0 out of 10, and I only mean that in like neutral terms, not I hate the idea. I think it's really important when we talk about like these scenarios, which we've made up, and there's no truth to either of these.
We could be giving people ideas.
Right.
Yeah.
I think for me, to get my buy-in, I need to understand the perspective, like who is, the blender or the master distiller, what are they trying to go do, and how do I feel about their vision, and how is it different than what else is out there? And then it's like, okay, well, based on the answers to those questions, I would say 10 out of 10, 100 out of 10, or negative 15 out. Like, it just depends.
Varies.
It varies.
Yeah.
Answers may vary.
I could see that. All right. Here's a good one to end on. Heading back to Sazerac land, to Buffalo Trace. Freddie Johnson, 3rd generation employee at Buffalo Trace. What is the likelihood of, since he is so popular, everyone wants him as a tour guide, he has his own root beer called Daddy-O's, right? Or no, it's called Freddie's. Freddie's. Isn't that neat? Sort of his catchphrase. What's the likelihood of Freddie Johnson having his own bourbon at Buffalo Trace? I would suggest it's called Daddy-O's, though. Chad Watson.
So likelihood of it happening, I'm going to say 2. I'm going to say 2 out of 10 Daddy-O's.
Isn't that neat?
It is neat. I think there is a market there potentially, but it's a very niche thing. If you haven't been to Buffalo Trace or listened to him on a podcast, you really don't know who that is. But he is like this internal celebrity within the bourbon world and the whiskey world that we all know and love. But I don't think for mass market reasons. It might be something like a gift shop
Distillery
release.
only? Okay.
Yeah.
Counterpoint there, how many people know who E.H. Taylor was? Or Elmer T. Lee was at this point, if we're just talking mass, not us and you all watching, but, anyway. Sarah.
I mean, I love Freddie, so I like the idea, but I'm kind of with Chad Watson that I'm going to say like 4 out of 10. I think to do something that's gift shop only, so you have to be there on the grounds where he is present and you get, a lot of that context of who he is. It could be its own like sub-label. Maybe they do 375 of like Daddy-O's, isn't that neat? 90 proof.
Love it.
Freddie's. I think that's so cool, like a little gift shop souvenir. I think that would fly off the shelves. So maybe that's for Buffalo Trace marketing people. I don't know, maybe that's something you've thought about.
You're welcome.
But I totally think that whether they do that or not, his own label, like a Freddie's Picks, sort of like at Blockbuster, and you'll love this, employees recommendations, employees picks. Yeah, and what if there was Chad's shelf, right?
Shut up and take my money.
You should totally find an old Blockbuster shelf and it be Chad's picks of the month, and you each do like your employee picks, and it's bourbons of the month, and you put them on the shelf, right? And you do put that picture out on social media like every month or something.
Do we just become best friends?
Yup.
Wow.
So much more room for activities.
Wow. Okay.
I knew you would like that.
Yeah.
But wouldn't it be cool to have like a Freddie's pick?
Yes.
And he gets his own Daddy-O sticker or something that goes on a bottle.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
People would love that.
Likelihood of it happening, I would say, what did you say?
You said 4.
Okay.
I think they should.
I'm going to say 5.5 out of 10 Daddy-O's, the likelihood, because it's guaranteed, guaranteed
money in
sales,
hand, yeah.
Especially if it's distillery only. And then from 4 to 6, he's there every other day signing bottles. I mean, just print
the money.
stupid money.
Yeah.
How much do you want to see it, Sarah?
1 million out of 10. Just because I love Freddie, I think it's fun. I mean, yes, it would be gimmicky, but I think it's like, it would be a nice souvenir. I think it would make me happy.
1,000,001 Daddy-O's out of 10. Do I want to see it? And I also love the fact that it would be a non-master distiller, a non-ancient colonel who's been dead for hundreds of years. It would be a third-generation employee who is so passionate about the brand and the message and the mission that I would love to see that celebrated.
Yeah.
Watson.
I'm gonna say 1 billion Daddy-O's.
That's a lot of Daddy-O's.
So many Daddy-O's.
I would love to see it, and I would love, we had tossed the idea out there, but I mean, it could be, is it gonna be like a root beer flavored whiskey?
Oh.
Is it, can it be the Freddie's, like, could that be the RTD, Buffalo Trace, like puts in a can, like, Daddy-O's, you got the ginger ale,
Daddy-O's like
the
hard
orange.
sodas.
Yeah. Like, so then they've got a whole product line now.
Wow.
So I would love to see it because I think it's funny, but I think it could be really good just for, sales. So.
Wow.
Did we just do a free focus group for all these brands?
Sure did.
Yep, we
100%.
sure did. I feel like I should have gotten paid for that.
Yeah, I'll send an invoice to everyone.
Yes.
Everyone
Yes.
involved. You'll be getting my invoice.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah, for sure. All right. Hey, if you guys like this format and you want to see this happen again, let us know down in the comments. Also, if you have these hypotheticals, also submit those down in there.
What do you want to see?
Yeah, the ones that we love, we'll do that. If you guys like this episode, we'll do it another time. I like this sort of, I wouldn't call it a round table, call it a bar table, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, around here.
The right angle.
Yeah, the right angle.
Right angle.
Yeah. But hey, if you haven't subscribed to us already, this is going to be tough. I'm going to move over here. If you haven't subscribed to us already, you can do so by clicking right up here. There's suggestions of other videos down here. Hope you're there in one of those. Thanks, Sarah.
Thanks, Chad.
Thanks, Chad.
Thanks,
Sarah.
Chad.
It's Spider-Man. And until next time, drink more bourbon.